Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Twilight Imperium Junkies podcast.
What is up, everybody? My name is Henry.
And this is Rand.
We are so excited to be here. On this show, we're going to be talking about all things TI, as you might expect, from the nitty-gritty gameplay and strategy to above-the-table salt and spice.
We're going to be exploring all sorts of fun topics with fellow junkies that you'll recognize from our YouTube series. We're also going to have special guests from the TI community, so stay tuned to hear from the people.
And we should probably, just before we get any further, say that if you somehow found this podcast and have no idea who we are, this is your first exposure to TI Junkies. We are the Twilight Imperium Junkies.
We turn TI games into reality TV style episodes. It is very dramatic, very spicy.
Very spicy. Very salty.
So for this first episode, we wanted to cover some basics about TI Junkies, some backstory, some history, how we got here, how we first got into Twilight Imperium, and how we became the Junkies. It's because we had a prophet, basically, and that was you, Henry.
You know, I can't deny it. The TI prophet. I had played TI3 a little bit, but nothing on the scale of what TI Junkies became. I was very much a casual player. I played it maybe once a year, and every single time it was with new people. And I actually had not played for a few years and randomly looked it up online and saw that there was a 4th edition. And I thought to myself, you know, I just want to get it. Like maybe I'll get it to the table once. Maybe I'll get it to the table, you know, once a year like I used to with TI3. But I got to get it. I got to see what TI4 is all about, because I love TI3. I love the scale. I love the atmosphere. Yeah, I just wanted to see what had happened with the game.
This was about 5 years ago now.
We managed to gather enough nerds for that one game that we played in our living room on the floor. And I mean, to my pleasant surprise, it did not end up being a one-time game or a once-a-year game. It ended up being a lot of TI.
And yes, you did hear that right. Our first game of TI was on the floor. We did sit on the floor, set up on the floor, and spent the whole day and night playing on the floor.
And people's knees were hurting. Let's just say their knees were hurting. I mean, after that game, we were TI Junkies.
It is true. Playing one time or a few times is one thing, but that is not at all what happened with us. We were hooked.
Yeah, I think we've even gotten comments on our YouTube videos where people are saying, oh man, I just wish I could get this to the table. I wish I could get enough people. For some people, it is like a bucket list game. They hope to just get like one game of TI in.
We are blessed. We are blessed by the TI gods. We got to play often and do get to play often. It is just pretty amazing.
So Rand, I'm curious, since you were brand new to TI at this game, you had not played any previous editions. For you personally, like what made you come back? Because I was surprised. I thought maybe everyone would be like, that was cool, that was a fun novelty, but we ended up playing a lot more, and you still are a TI junkie 5 years later. So like what happened? What hooked you?
I mean, most of the first game right now is a blur to me, but I was the necrovirus, and I do remember picking up on speaker order in the last round and realizing that I could take this mysterious Imperial card and possibly win the game. Obviously, all the rules and how it works is mostly like just confusion at this point. The first game of TI is really just like a lot to take in. But I saw this opportunity, and suddenly I get public disgraced by Nikki. And that was a moment where it clicked for me how complex this game is and how deep it goes, and how its own mechanics that it has set up and established can't even be trusted. Like, there's just so much possibility, and to this day, it feels true to TI and is something I love so much about the game.
That's true. Even now, like we've played so many games, but I feel like we're constantly in new game states or like new shenanigans that we can do.
And just like new rules that need clarifying, and we just have over 100 games under our belts and still just like are like, wait, what happens when this and this collide?
But it is so epic, like in your first game when you don't really know the action card deck that well. And something like Public Disgrace coming out, which I also remember that. That's like the one moment I remember super clearly from that game is you picking 8 and Nikki just going, no, Public Disgrace. So yeah, I mean, from that game, we gathered some more players from there, and we had a pool of around 10 people. You know, junkies come and go at times. There are like the old reliable junkies, but maybe 10 people, 12 people who just were frequently down to play. We're down to play most weekends, and we became TI Junkies.
Friends bonded by salt, bonded by betrayal. And eventually that ritual morphed into a YouTube channel, which is, TI Junkies.
That's true. So, I mean, where did that really start? Because I feel like the first thought we had was that we were playing TI a lot, and there were just so many little stories. Like every game felt like a little story. And we were like, this has to be like capturable.
Yeah, it's so true. New relationships, new character arcs, things were changing, betrayals, alliances, and some of us are content creators, some of us are filmmakers, and it felt so natural to just be like, okay, wait, hold on a second. Let's plop down a camera and just like capture this drama because like people need to see this. Like the world needs to be privy to the shenanigans that are going down at our TI Junkies table.
That's true. And I think also, like, just as a table, even to this day, we tend to favor theatrics and drama probably a little more than purely optimal play. I mean, we still want to win and we're still playing to win, but just on occasion, there's opportunities to strike a dramatic pose in game.
Since then, the creative journey has been growing and we started to stream TI online. We started making shorts. And here we are, first episode of this podcast. Let's go. And one of the best parts about discovering TI and this whole journey is getting to discover an incredible community of people, both online and in real life. We've been to the Space Cats Peace Turtles Hootenanny in Portland.
That was cool.
We've been to Zulus in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
We even last year embarked on a TI Junkies World Tour where we got to play in New Zealand, Australia, and Henry even made it to Pakistan.
Yeah, that's wild. That's not something I ever expected to do.
just playing TI all around and seeing how different players go about the game. And I'm sure we'll cover this all at some future time on the podcast.
And of course, we got to give a big shout out to our Discord server where there are the chillest, coolest, and some of the most knowledgeable TI players in the world. Come on, let's face it. You guys know who you are.
Very true. Very grateful for all of you hanging out in the server.
Playing async, playing TTPG. It's awesome. And that really does it. That I think has been kind of the cliff notes of TI Junkies from inception to now. But before we wrap up this inaugural episode, I think we got to tease some of the things that we're going to be seeing down the road on the TI Junkies podcast. First and foremost, I got to flag, there are some what I would call critical gameplay elements that I feel the TI Junkies are uniquely qualified to shine a light on. And these would include Stugin, Schmeckatol, Stugin for Schmeckatol,
Stugin on Schmeckatol.
The list goes on.
Yeah, definitely stay tuned for Nathan's highly anticipated TI4 guided meditation.
I cannot wait. And I will say, just a little teaser for our second episode next week. It is called How to Win Twilight Imperium 4th Edition.
Yes, you heard that right.
So for all you folks out there who play to win, I don't know if that's many of you, I don't know if that's any of you, but if there are a handful, you're definitely going to want to come back and tune in to that.
Thank you all for checking out this episode of the Twilight Imperium Junkies podcast.
This is Henry.
And this is Rand.
And we are out.
I gotta go take my turn on async.
She's a junkie. She's really a junkie. It's true. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Twilight Imperium Junkies podcast.
If you like what we do and want to support the show, check out our Patreon, where amongst other things, you can vote on topics for future episodes.
Keep up with the TI Junkies series by subscribing on YouTube.
Until next time, keep stooging, or maybe don't.
Unless you're my stooge.